Call the Honourable Member for Murray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to place my heartfelt personal thanks on the parliamentary record, my thanks for the courage, the commitment and the sheer hard work of Peter Kelly. Peter Kelly has been in the role of Managing Director of SPC Ardmona since April 2013. He retires at the end of March 2015 after a stellar career. He had in fact been with Coca Cola Amatil for 25 years. Peter Kelly came into the role at SPC Ardmona, of course, at a time of crisis. The surrounding orchards were in a haze of dust as bulldozers pushed through often prime orchards, the pears, the peaches, the apricots. He had to share the agony of the growers as they understood that 50% of them would no longer have any market for their preserving variety fruit that would be typically used by SPC Ardmona. And of course there were no other alternatives. SPC Ardmona was the last fruit manufacturer in Australia. So we had to do something extraordinarily important because, of course, the City of Greater Shepparton, with its economic analysis, showed the impact of the closure of SPC Ardmona would be some $165 million per annum. And that is in a small regional economy. The factory itself, and there were 3 factories at the time servicing SPC Ardmona, between them employed over 800 effective full-time employees and more than 4,000 others directly associated with the operations of that factory. So Peter Kelly, who was in fact an acquisitions and mergers specialist, and that put fear and terror into the hearts of those who heard what his specialisations were, they imagined he'd come to sell the whole business up. After all, they had been putting write-downs of $48 million in goodwill and $98 million in inventory and other assets that had all been marked down by the owner company, Coca Cola Amatil. But Peter Kelly and others were able to negotiate a $100 million innovation investment deal with the Victorian State Government and the parent company Coca Cola Amatil itself. They were talked into hanging on, giving the company a chance. They wanted to transform the business from a cannery to an innovative snack food company to take it away from dependence on just the supermarkets in Australia, which, as we all know, with 80% market share, make it very difficult for suppliers to make a decent margin. So he led also SPC Ardmona through successful anti-dumping cases. He brought the case of the Italian dumped tomatoes to the Anti-Dumping Authority, and we won. 90% of all of the importers of processed tomatoes from Italy were found to be, in fact, illegally dumping their products, and that put the Australian canned tomato business back on the map. Today, our tomato industry is again thriving, and we have a second industry in Echuca, Kagami, producing superb tomato-based products as well. Peter was able to negotiate a significant 5-year, $70 million partnership with Woolworths that would see an extra 24,000 tonnes of fruit, tomatoes and locally sourced navy beans back into products. He advocated and advanced the need for consumers and the government departments to buy local. He led a social media campaign which had ordinary Australians put more than 22 million hits on those social media pages showing, yes, we want to buy local, we want to buy Australian product, and we will. Peter Kelly led SPC on a project to join forces with other prominent members and supporters of the industry, including AusVeg, Australia Made, the Australian Food and Grocery Council and the Victorian Farmers Federation. Together they developed the Full Value for Victorian Food Procurement Policy, a proposal that urges the government to put locally sourced food first on the procurement agenda for the state. Peter has led Ardmona through a rebranding exercise that sees the real life orchardist on the product itself. You can look at the man and the woman who grew your fruit. He has led the campaign to make Australians proud of their product. Without Peter Kelly, I don't think we'd have made it. And so I'm going to miss him hugely as a personal friend, as someone I work with most weeks of the month after month. I commend Peter for his spirit, his courage. I know it was a huge family sacrifice for him to put the time he did away from his family who are based in Sydney. Peter Kelly, I congratulate you. I trust the rest of your life is as productive as your time has been in the Great Goulburn Valley.